Because it's one of the last beautiful days of summer-like weather, I thought I would take you out here to my backyard area and show you all my art supplies that I have now as a confident beginner who's been doing watercolor for the last year and a half. And also I'm starting to work in oil as well. I've got all my paper, all my watercolors, all my brushes, my pen. Grab something hot to drink and settle in while we have a relaxed outdoor chat and look at all the things I've been accumulating over the last year and a half. Right here are the vast majority of my art supplies. We're in my backyard. It's an urban setting, so I apologize for any noise that you might be hearing. It's mostly just birds back here, but there are like a few planes and stuff going overhead. So let's get most of this cleared out of the way and start, as I always like to, on these art supply tours, which is with paper. I'm a bit of a paper nerd. I love notebooks. I love different types of watercolor paper. Look at this absolutely adorable little notepad. It's called Expression Watercolor Paper by Hahnemühle, and they mostly make journals like this that I was aware of. But of course, not being in Europe, I don't have access to all their different products. But my friend Jennifer, who's over at the YouTube channel at Khaki and Bloom, I'll put a link down below. She brought this back to me. She's actually from Paris. She lives in Canada. I urge you to check out her channel. She does some really beautiful and inspired watercolor tutorials. So if that's your thing, you'll want to check her out over there. Make sure you watch her videos and subscribe. She brought this back for me as a little gift, which, how cute is this? I love this tiny little size. I've been making, actually, this was just a little bit of fun I was having, but I've been making little cards for people on this, and people really enjoy it, and it's very quick. So this is just a little, it's not a block, it's just a notepad, and it is 140 pounds, 300 weight, 8 by 10.5 centimeter. So that's tiny, 3 by 4 inch cold press matte watercolor paper. 100% cotton. So this is fun. I've never seen this in the art supply stores near me, but you'll have to let me know. Okay, moving on is another Hahnemühle that I keep repurchasing, which is this little journal that I use for my nature journaling and sometimes urban sketch. And so I've been having lots of fun just filling this up. For a while I was doing more urban sketch, like I drew this when I got it as a gift. Isn't that funny? It's really nice paper. I think it's a very similar feel to this one. And you'll see a lot of urban sketchers really like this little handy pocket-sized book. It's got the elastic on it, and there's quite a number of pages. But to be honest, I actually prefer the square of this, and I kind of wish that I bought more squares when I was in Portugal, because the price is much less over there. I think the square one was maybe 13 or 14 euros, and this one was like 10 euros, so far less than I would be paying here. Okay, let's rearrange things a little bit so that I do all the watercolor stuff first, because I know a lot of you love watercolor. So this is kind of a Canson XL dupe, believe it or not. Despite my recent Canson XL scandal, I don't have a Canson pad with me right now. This is from Walmart, and they've made this color look exactly like the Canson notebook, the spiral bound notepad, but the difference is this one is hard. It's a hard cover, and I actually think that this is just as good, and I like that there's the hard cover, and I don't know what there is to say about this. It's nice. I enjoy painting in here. It's fun to do studies, swatches. Not everything has to be on the absolute highest quality watercolor paper, so that is my thought on that. So yeah, Walmart Canada, North Shore paper, it's called. 140 pound, 300 gram, heavyweight, acid-free watercolor paper, and this is a cold pressed one. So I'm gonna tuck this over here. Look at this great hack that I discovered accidentally. My friend found this curbside giveaway of a dish rack, and I've discovered that it's so good for holding journals, and even if my watercolor is gonna dry, I can put it in there. So this one, of course, is too teensy to fit, but anyway, you get the point. So I'll push this back out of the way. That reminds me, we have to talk about this stuff. Okay, so we discussed the Hahnemühle. Let's now discuss Strathmore's watercolor journals. They're great if you're painting with a lot of water. If you're not painting with a lot of water, they might be overkill. The pages are just so thick, they don't warp that much. If you're doing something like this, where it's just, there's a lot on there, it doesn't get wavy at all. It holds it really well. It's great for that. Urban sketchers love this book. It gets so dirty though. I have discussed this before on another video. So I bought the larger version of it thinking, well, if I love the smaller one, I'll like this one even more. But that didn't happen. I'll tell you why. When this is open, it's upside down. When this is open completely, it's actually kind of a bit awkward. When you're in the dead center of the book, it stays open pretty well. But when you start to be on the ends, it just always wants to close on you. It just does not want to stay open nicely. And then you run the risk of dripping water on the page you're not working on. So sometimes I have to cover this up with something else. You know, I'll put something there to cover that page to keep that pristine while I'm working. So for that reason, I don't think I'll buy this one again. It is basically double the size of this one. This one was just more convenient, and also this one can't really come with me anywhere just because, I mean, that's a little large to put in my purse. But again, it's the exact same paper, and it's got those same qualities of just being really thick, so it can hold like so much water. If that's what you're into, you might like it for that. All right, guess what I kind of splurged on? Arches paper. Did I think it was better than Bao Hong? No, I didn't. This is 100% pure cotton. Bao Hong also, you'll know that one from the green cover, I think Bao Hong is just as good. Not that I'm a watercolor paper expert, I'm just a confident beginner, but this is nice, but it smells weird. And I think maybe that's because I bought one that was very much on sale. Maybe it was older stock that they're trying to get rid of. Please let me know if that's normal. I did look it up, and yeah, sometimes it does smell. It had this almost like stinky animal smell. I thought actually it was my brush that I was smelling, and I was like, but wait, that's not an animal hair brush, that's synthetic. And it wasn't this. It was actually, when I wet this paper, it smelled terrible. Oh, I didn't even show it to you. Okay, let's open it up here. So this is a cold press rough grain, which was fun to play with. Very beautiful texture. Oh, I shouldn't be touching it. Very beautiful texture, very nice. I don't think worth it for what I do. I didn't notice any difference between this, again, and the Bao Hong that I've been purchasing, but I don't have right now. Another notebook, because I love notebooks. I've actually had to stop buying so many notebooks. This is my Leuchtturm notebook that I've even dropped a little bit of watercolor in. You're not supposed to do that, but I did anyway. It's got this pouch in the back, and then in the pouch come these like stickers to label it, which is always kind of fun. I don't love this gray color. I actually don't know why I bought this gray color. The gray is just, I don't know. I thought I would really like it, but I'm finding it kind of black. It just looks like pencil, or the color of pencil or something. I thought I was going to love this. You know, don't we all when we're getting like a toned tan note paper? I just thought it was going to be like the thing for me. And you'll see here I'm always putting watercolor just on regular paper. That's just who I am, I guess, at this point. You know, I guess the theory behind this is that you've already got the mid-tone, right? And that should give you more freedom, I guess, to just concentrate elsewhere. But I was not finding that to be the case. Like so many people, I kind of struggle to get used to it. But it is fun for pencil. It's really, really good for pencil. Have I done a lot of pencil in here? No. I just doodle in here. This is the one I will pull out when I'm just like at the television and just in the mood to sketch while having some downtime. So that's Strathmore's Tone Tan sketch paper, 50 sheets, and it's a big one. 9 by 12, 80 pound. The other paper I have, surprisingly, is this canvas pad for oil, because oil is one of the things I've been getting into. And I shouldn't have this under here, but I just wanted to show it to you. That's why it's kind of making that sticky sound. I will take this painting out after. This is just a study I was doing to try out some colors. Trying to get the highlights of an eggplant, I guess, a large grape, I don't even know, and some lemons. So this is just a little bit of fun I was having. So yeah, there's actually like just canvas pads for oil if that's something you want to explore. That's my last sheet, so I have to rebuy, and I will take this out now because actually it wasn't supposed to be in there. Stick that in my rack. And then this is something called a palette paper pad. So instead of using like a palette that's made out of wood, you can just put it on this paper pad. And I don't love that because it's disposable at the end of the day, but then I'm also a beginner, so I don't know, I think a little bit of convenience is probably not the worst idea. Otherwise I would have to scrape off all the paint and figure out how to dispose of it. This way I can just crumple up the page, take it off. Oh, and I didn't even explain what this is. You put your oil paint on here and then you mix it on this. So instead of using, you know how in watercolor we use like a plate, you would put it on here instead. Okay, so that concludes paper. Well, let's move on now to watercolor. I'll show you in the order of how I purchased these things. So this is the very first Cotman palette that I ever bought. It's a Winsor Newton travel palette, and I just got the very simple one with the little paintbrush inside. And what I love about this is that it has these little compartments that pop out, and actually if you even want to stick that there, you can, to give yourself more painting space. It's just cleverly designed. There's one actually, there's another palette in here, so let's get them all out now that we're here. I find them kind of sticky though sometimes, so they need a bit of work to help be popped out. Okay, yeah, this one doesn't actually have little peggy things to stick in there, but I guess the idea is you can put that there, and you can put this one here, or you can put it here. And I guess this one stays in there. And then you have extra space to do all your painting. So this is, I think, basically the idea behind it is like a split primary. I've zhuzhed it up, I've customized it a little bit, and I'll tell you what I've done. This is an inexpensive palette, and one that I really think that beginners should reach for the first time that they buy something. Just something simple like this with this many colors. I don't think you need every color out there, because that also forces you to learn how to mix them, which is not a bad thing. So I've made some substitutions in here because I've had this now a year and a half. So most of these are the originals. These are the original. Yeah, this is original. I rebought a tube of permanent rose, and I just keep refilling it because that was actually my favorite color out of this whole palette was this permanent rose, because I like to paint flowers, use that all the time. This is a red, but it looks so orange to me, which I find funny. This came with it. This I replaced. That's actually a Roman Szmal lemon yellow in there. And you can just pop these out and put Roman Szmal ones inside. They're the exact right size. Half pans. This is Roman Szmal's Hooker's Green, and that was a sap green. Sap green from Winsor Newton is actually a great color. Viridian Green, I don't like this color that much. This was original, this was original. This is the black, the white. Yeah, so this is mostly, except for 2 half pans here, the original set, and I'm still using it. Look how long it lasts. So when I became a more confident beginner, I graduated from this to this Altoids mint tin. Just kidding. My mom likes these mints, so she keeps the tins for me. And inside of it, I put all my little Roman Szmal singles that I bought all separately. It was so much fun to just like think about the colors that I wanted. So, I mean, I won't go through all of these, but I'll tell you some Roman Szmal standouts. Buff Titanium. Amazing. Love this color so much. I also love Roman Szmal's Magenta. Use this all the time. And look how much is still left. Their Payne's Gray is very nice. The only one I don't like is this Van Dyke Brown. I find that's just really hard to reconstitute. The turquoise is great. He has just such great colors. Oh, and another one I don't like is Roman Szmal's Sap Green. It's like neon. Don't like that one. I really prefer Cotman's Sap Green. They're known for doing a really nice Sap Green and a really nice permanent rose. Right. Some reds, some purples. Nothing to write home about here, I think, other than the Buff Titanium. Must have. Must have. Love this one so much. The magenta is amazing too. If I could only take 2 out of this, those would probably be the 2 that I can't live without. So yeah, so that was first. That was the second thing I purchased. And then recently I got this, which is Roman Szmal's Mini Urban Sketchers palette. Oh gosh, I can never remember the name. It's this lovely tin, which, by the way, you can pop all of these out and replace them. These are all the ones that came with it. I've done a video actually swatching these. So this is what comes with it. This row and this row. This Shadow Violet is an amazing color that's so much fun to play with. This blue is really cool too. This is actually kind of looks like a yellow, even though it looks kind of goldish, and it's called like Nickel Azo Gold or something like that. It comes off as quite yellow. And then these are just some additions that I stuck in here myself. This is a Rosa paint. That's why it's a different shape. And this is a Ukrainian brand, and I like to support them too, just with everything that's going on in the world. Without me getting into too much detail, you know exactly what I mean. Their paints are so strong though, so be warned. There's a lot of pigment in that. It's so strong compared to the Roman Szmals, meaning so pigmented. So yeah, I use just this for everything that I make. And will that stop me from buying more? No, of course, because making art is one thing, collecting supplies is its own thing, and they're almost separate endeavors. I don't know, maybe you agree or disagree, but yeah, love my watercolors. I use them daily, and like a year and a half later, look how much is still left, right? And even this is a year old plus now. There's tons left. Watercolor is just such a worthwhile investment. Okay. I'm going to quickly talk about brushes here. I mostly use Cotmans. How did this get in here? That's an oil brush. Get rid of that. I love that they make this kind of clicky sound. It reminds me of chopsticks or mahjong tiles or something. My most used shape is this, no, that's the 6, is this 10, which is one of the larger sizes they make. Probably my second most used one is the 4. And just between these two, you get a lot of detail. And then probably my next MVP is maybe the Rigger. So if I can only take 3 with me, actually often when I travel, I do just take these 3 with me. Ones that I've wanted to love, well, the one that I wanted to love but still haven't connected with is the square one. And then I've got these other, I've got the Filbert, which is good. I use that quite a bit. And then these other sizes, and they're good too. The 1 and the 6. Happy with these. I haven't really bought too many others just because I find that that's what I need. Let me tell you the story of this Tintoretto Aquasynth. This Tintoretto size 10 Aquasynth brush from Italy. First of all, I just love the turquoise color because that's how my mind works. I'm very drawn to the aesthetics of brushes. Look how big this is. I did not mean to get one this big. This is what happens when you buy online and you're kind of not paying that much attention. I tried my best to try and figure out what size this was, and I thought it was just much smaller than it is. So I can't paint a lot with this. If you know what I should be using this for, please let me know. Mostly I'm just using it for like washes, or if I really want to wet down a big area. It feels like a bit of a waste though. It feels like a bit of a missed opportunity to use such a chunky brush, but it does not have a fine tip. So yeah, you live and learn. I still think it's kind of fun though, even though I don't use it as much as I might like, but you never know. I think with art supplies, sometimes they surprise you and you can use them in the future for some way you just haven't imagined right now. Okay, very briefly, my oil brushes, palette, knife, and just these inexpensive ones to just start trying oil paint. You know, I'm not that good at it. I'm still learning. So I'm much, much more of an oil paint beginner than a watercolor beginner. It's a real struggle to work between the two. It's a real exercise, I think, in patience, trying to learn how to deal with oil, because you kind of work the opposite way that you do with watercolor. So it's a whole new set of, not constraints, but a whole new set of strategies or skills that are kind of almost the reverse of watercolor. I know that sounds confusing, but just even the way you mix the paint is just like, that takes so much time. I'm not even used to like mixing up colors, because they're done in a flash when you do it with watercolor. Not so much with oil. But anyway, this brand is Noble, and it's like pure bristles from China, and they're fine. You know, they're just like beginner brushes. Whereas I think with the Cotmans, I mean, I'm still using them and I don't find them to be lacking. I'm glad that I bought these. I haven't really felt a huge need to level up yet. Maybe one of these days, or if there's a sale or I'm traveling somewhere and my eye is caught by some other nicer, more expensive brushes. But right now, they're fine. This is my little collection of everyday pens that I use, and I used to keep them in a mason jar, you know, like as I do with the brushes. I used to store them in a mason jar till someone told me, and rightly, that it's better to store them laying flat like this. So I found this old Warby Parker eyeglass outer case, you know, when you buy a pair, and I just keep them in here. So these are my dailies. I use this, I reach for this all the time. A kneaded eraser. Apparently you can flatten these out and clean them with dish soap. I haven't done that, but they're basically infinitely cleanable and reusable. Well, I don't know if they're infinitely cleanable, but they're definitely more reusable than this. I have other ones as well, but I just keep this one stuck in here so that's easy to grab. I like to roll mine into, my preference is to keep mine kind of rolled into like little roll-ups like this. Just a little ruler gauge. It's actually a gauge, I think, for knitting needles. A friend of mine from my embroidery sessions that I go to at the public library gave this to me. Being that I'm not like a knitter or crocheter, I don't use those, but it is handy to have a little ruler sometimes. And so the things I use the most frequently in here, I journal every day with this Touch brush tip pen. Where's my Hahnemühle? So this has that really cool bendable nib that functions like a brush, but it's not a brush. It's got this cute sparkly body, and it it helps you do like a bit more of a calligraphy type, brush lettering type vibe that I'm not that great at. But it's not waterproof, so I have to do it after I've done these. But I do love practicing with this, one of my favorites. Put this away. Okay, so everybody knows what these are. These are just my set of 3 Pigma Microns. I use this trio just because this is how I bought it. So we've got the 005, which is the skinny one. We've got the 02 and the 08. My favorite shape is, or size I should say, is 08. It's got the bigger nib. And it's just got like a line quality that I love. But you know what I don't like about these? You can't really post these. Like they don't click nicely. Do you hear that? It just has a resistance to it. So I'm always trying to kind of keep track of the lids. I'm sure there's some clever hack for that everybody knows about that I don't. But yeah, that's my only quibble with these. But otherwise they are excellent. Except for the cap. Something about Sakura, because their jelly rolls have a weird cap where the cap kind of never really wants to click that firmly either. So anyway, here's another type of fine liner, which is a Faber Castell Pitt Artist Pen Fine Liner. This is the warm gray. I use this quite a bit. It looks like pencil, and that's why I like it. But it's not as nice of a feel. The plastic is just not as nice as the Micron, which is so smooth. It feels very premium. This feels really cheapy. But what it does have going for it is a cap that posts really nicely. This is size 03, and it's the only one I've purchased. I don't know, they're fine. I'm not crazy for these though, like I wouldn't want a whole set of these. Okay, fountain pens, all right. My favorite. I do a lot of journaling with these, like handwriting meaning. So you've got these 2 different Sailor pens. They have different nib shapes. I don't know how well it's gonna pick up. This one is quite bent, this green one. It goes up and it makes really thick lines. And this brown one is not as bent and the lines are a little thinner. Yeah, I write with these daily pretty much. Writing with a fountain pen really forces you to slow down, and that's good for how my brain works anyway. Other little bitsies and bobsies in here. I don't think I'll go through these, you know, eraser, clip. Rando pencils. These are erasable Frixion pens. This I like. I haven't used it in a while. This is a Faber Castell Watercolor pencil. And the cool thing about this is because it's such a light color, if you put a lot of water over it or a watercolor over it, it kind of like, it's like you can sketch with this and it becomes almost invisible, because once you hit it with the watercolor, is that in focus? Let's see. Once you hit it with the watercolor, it dissolves and you don't really see it anymore. So that can be fun. I've talked about this too before on this channel. Sharpie S Gel, that's cool. Frixion erasable pen. One of these big ones. I like to travel with this because I don't have to worry about the pencil lead breaking. And I just sketch with HB. Like I don't buy special pencils for sketching. I will one of these days. Oh, and another ruler. I don't need 2 in here, but I kind of forgot about that one. Yeah, just regular HB pencils is how I do most of my stuff. Okay, the only thing left here that I wanted to tell you guys about is just my oil paints. I've got this little selection of oil paints. This is Winsor Newton's Artisan Water Mixable Oil Color, because one thing I wasn't confident about getting into with oil was the fact that you need solvents to thin it or to clean out everything. And a lot of YouTube artists say that, you know, it's fine to use the water mixable oil color. They've never noticed any quality difference, maybe a little bit of getting used to in terms of handling it. I'm sure actual fine artists working at the highest caliber would beg to disagree and say that this is not great paint, but it's fine for me so far. Of course, I don't know anything different, but well, there's a few artists here on YouTube that use it, and if it's good enough for them, the caliber of their work is so high, it's certainly good enough for me. And oil is so expensive compared to watercolor. It really is. Like a set like this, I think in Canada was, I don't even know, I want to say it was around 80, 90 bucks, maybe even more than that. So yeah, it costs quite a bit to get started. Plus you need the brushes, plus you need paper or canvas pads, or anyway, oil is a bit more of an expensive hobby, I think, than watercolor so far. Okay, well, I hope that you enjoyed that. That's everything. Oh, just maybe one last thing to tell you guys about, which is I use this caddy from Amazon that's actually for diapers. I don't know if you can see it that well here. Let's put it down. And this is what I store everything in. Yeah, it's actually meant for diapers. So I'll get another little, I'll insert a little image of it here. But look, when I come outside, I just put everything in here. And it just carries tons and tons of stuff. And then I towed it out to the backyard, which is where I am now. And I paint, and then when I'm done, I just put everything back in and go back inside. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this art supply tour. I would love to hear from you down below. Even just drop a flower emoji or something like that if you're not sure what to comment. That always gives me a little boost here. I appreciate you spending your time with me. Please do like and subscribe, especially if you want more videos like this. Well, it won't be an art supply tour, obviously, because I just gave it, but something else, maybe art supply related. See you in the next video.